You're listening to Drinks and a Movie with your host, Rudy. Spoiler alert.
Rolling Drinks and a Movie podcast. Yo, I'm here with co-host Chris today.
Co-host, man.
Yeah, man.
I like when Matt doesn't show up. I become co-host other than here with my two buddies.
Well, thanks for hosting this, Chris.
Miss you, Matt.
Yeah, unfortunately, Matt couldn't make it after all. We are here to discuss Mad Max Fury Road because I realized, I was recording some episodes with Matt recently. We did the original Mad Max. We did Mad Max 3 Beyond Thunderdome. And then we did, what's that one called? Furiosa. And as I was scrolling through the Instagram of Drinks in a Movie, I realized that we never talked about Fury Road. We talked about Mad Max 2.
That's kind of wild, especially how much you like that movie.
Yeah, one of my favorite movies. And I could have sworn we did it when we talked about Road Warrior.
I was surprised when you texted me. I was like, he obviously meant Furiosa. That's why I was like, what do you want to do? And he's like, Fury Road. I was like, all right, I guess we're just going to do it again.
Yeah. Right. I guess if it is again, oh well. But so since we've got a high octane, movie that requires some high octane juice. So what we got here, can you actually pass these to me?
We'll go down the line.
Yeah, we've got a couple of the olds here, which, Okay, a couple of the olds. We'll save the Blackbriar for Predator 2. You still want to do Predator 2?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. But so, yeah, we're going to be doing Old Overholt 114 proof. I didn't even know this was a thing, and I heard about it at some point from Bar Jackalope, but I never saw it anywhere. And then one day I was at Cypress Craft Spirits, and they had it on the shelf, like $30, $28.99, something like that.
Jeez,
so I picked
really?
it up. Yeah. Old Overholt is
with the twist off?
Yeah.
Dang.
So let's pour some of this. I put an ounce in my infinity bottle already.
Oh, so you haven't had any of this yet?
No, I have not tried it. So,
oh man,
I do like Old Overholt bottled in bond. I'm expecting this one to be good, and we're also going to be doing the Old Overholt Cask Strength 10-year-old, which I have tasted this one.
Where'd you get this one?
Also at Cypress, actually.
Dang, Cypress, man.
Yeah, they come through. So this one's coming in at 121 proof.
Oh my, thank God it'll be warmed up.
Yeah. Yeah, 10-year-old Old Overholt. I was really stoked when I grabbed this one. I was very excited.
I really like the bottle. I like how I even like the
it's the same exact bottle as the old Granddad 114.
I just liked how giant the cork is.
Yeah.
That they didn't I feel like sometimes a lot of companies they'll force their top into money saving. It's like it's all the same cork size, so it's cheaper for us.
Right.
But they're just like, no, this is our bottle. This is super cool.
Let's see. So starting with the 114, a storied 4-year rye. This whiskey pays tribute to ryes produced during the Prohibition era, cut to 114 proof. It is historically inspired by a traditional maturation strength of the time. Overholt continues its rich history with this high proof expression. This rye is non-chill filtered, which gives the whiskey a richer, fuller flavor. In cold temperatures, the whiskey may appear cloudy or have visible particles, which is both normal and natural. Hell yeah.
I'm going to sound ignorant here for a second. I'm so glad that, shout out to Greenbrier, that we went there, Nelson Bros, and got to go on that tour. Because I felt like it was the first time in a distillery tour that they actually talked about filtering.
Chill filtering?
Chill filtering, and they talked about
Lincoln County process.
So I think more when you said that, I'm like, okay, all right, that's where we're sitting. And as a co-host, as with someone with a podcast that's talking about whiskey, I just felt a little stupid, but thank you for, I don't remember that guy's name.
Our tour guide?
Yeah.
Zach.
Yeah. Very, very helpful.
Yeah. I guess for those listening to this that might not know, so most whiskeys are chill filtered. It usually doesn't say that, but what they do is they'll put it through, they get it up to a certain cold temperature, and that causes some of the fatty acids and esters and these other proteins to kind of solidify, and then they filter it out. The reason being because when you add ice to it or water or whatever, if it's not filtered like that, then it will start to get cloudy, like this label said. So it's purely for cosmetic reasons. You don't want someone to put ice in their whiskey and be like, oh, what the hell's happening? It's all cloudy or there's this and that. So it's just a cosmetic thing. And my understanding is, when you get rid of those proteins and fatty acids, you're stripping away some of the flavors. So non-chill filtered is a good thing.
And these are both ryes.
Yeah, they're both ryes, and they're both, so it's, the olds up there with Old Granddad.
Yeah.
You got your like 80 proof or whatever, Old Overholt. You got Old Overholt Bottle
Jim
and Bond.
Beam.
Yep, Jim Beam. So I love Beam, and yes, the olds are part of the Beam portfolio. I think these are made in Claremont.
I really like this bottle. This just seems, if you don't mind me asking, how much was this Old Overholt 10?
100.
See, this just feels like a bottle that like the party's over.
Right. Yeah, it does, right? Yeah.
Like it has that, just the way that it has like this filigree on the side.
Yeah. It's
almost like Art Deco-ish.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like everyone left. And you're like, Rudy's still here.
Yeah.
Andy's still here.
Right. All right. Take it out.
You guys are here. Let's grab a glass.
Yeah.
Let's have some Old Overholt.
Yep.
10 years.
Right,
Wait, so the first one is
114. So this one's 4 years old, 114 proof.
And I'm going to throw it out there. Maybe this is sad, but like it kind of has a generic feel to the bottle to where I would think if I saw it that I wouldn't.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's very much like a well rye.
Okay, it definitely gives me, which I don't put anything past well ryes, because it definitely gives me a
it's not a second,
Rittenhouse.
is it? Oh, Rittenhouse, yes.
Where it's like, well, Rittenhouse, that's on the, it gives me Rittenhouse vibes.
Yeah, it's in the same zone. And like your typical, like the Old Overholt bottled and bond, like the 114 proof, they're like limited release. They don't come out that often, is my understanding.
Okay.
Like in all the years I've been into getting whiskey, this was the first time I saw this. Was before I went on tour. That's why I picked it up immediately.
Really?
Like I've never seen them. You don't really come across them ever, or at least not that often. Because the typical one is like an 80 proofer, just like Old Grandad. There's an 80 proof one, and then there's the bottled and bond. So those are the ones that you'll find at like a lot of LA bars.
Why don't you see them a lot?
The 114 proof,
Yeah.
I think they only put them out like once every year or every couple years or a few years or something. Yeah, they're not like always on the shelf. They just drop a little bit of them at some point, and that's that. Same with like the 10-year. Like I got lucky when I came across this, and they disappeared pretty quick.
Gotcha.
But yeah, like even when I was working at Monty,
Warehouse
like our well whiskey was like some Kessler or something super whack like that. But when it came to like our well cocktails, it was always like for us, our rye was Old Overholt Bottle and Bond and Old Grandad Bottle and Bond. And you will see that at a lot of the LA bars. Those are like the cocktail wells.
So my big question for you, Old Overholt 114 at 4 years, and then Old Overholt Cask Strength at 10 years. How big of a difference do you think we're gonna
I don't know.
Here?
That's what I'm curious to see, man. I would think quite a bit of a difference. I mean, we're talking a 6-year gap, man. It's quite a bit.
Now that 114 for the 4 year, is that considered Cask Strength, or is that just they're not stating that?
No, just because they're making it specifically 114.
Okay.
My understanding is Cask Strength is like they're not adding any water to dilute it.
Got it. It's weird as I hope I didn't mix these up, which I don't think I did. I'm getting a more intense nose on the 114.
Yeah, for sure.
Which is, they both smell great.
Yeah. It's sweeter than I thought, especially the 10-year has like a sweeter, more
the
vanilla
10-year is
caramel.
well more. Yeah. It's
I get a little more like the same kind of sweet notes, but a little more mellow on the 114, but with some like black licorice for me.
Gotcha. Yeah, it definitely smells. I think with the 114, I'm getting more of the proof right off the bat, and I feel like in the 10-year, I'm getting more of like not much proof. I'm getting more of the notes.
Yeah.
Are we gonna go on this 114?
Yeah, let's do it. Cheers.
Let's cheers. We're back. Ooh, that was a good
That
one.
was gentle.
Dude, you should take that sound clip and it should be like part of the show every time.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, this smells really good. I'm getting like a lot of vanilla.
I'm only going for the second sip first. Let's see.
I'm getting a lot of proof. I mean, I also chewed the shit out of it, so I'm waiting a second.
I agree with the vanilla, man.
Right? Well,
It's strong. It's strong with the vanilla. Yeah, the vanilla, but man, it is quite spicy.
It is.
It really lights up the tongue, man. It's like I almost feel like prickly, but it has a good mouthfeel. I feel like coating throughout the whole.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely like a fucking like allspice black pepper vanilla bomb.
Yeah.
Just like
I don't know what kind of cake it is.
it's very bright. Like
It's almost like I had like a carrot cake with like vanilla icing.
no, I don't like carrot cake, but I believe you.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I don't like that.
I feel like you've said that to me before, and
what I should do is I should get my mom to make you like a carrot cake, it's literally just for the podcast. Like we'll get some rye, and we're like, here we go, we're going in.
Carrot cake.
Old Overholt 114, and then we're like, and then like the only thing you wince at is like carrot cake. The only thing you have a hard time consuming is the carrot cake. My mom also makes a very good rum cake that her former employees that would literally ask about every year. Like,
really?
Yeah, Cindy, how about that rum cake?
All right, I'm gonna go for the Cask Strength now. This one I have tried before, but it's been a while. I've been meaning to make a video where I blind it against Knob Creek Cask Strength because I would be very curious how they play out.
I'm gonna go back. The 114 proof is way better going back after I swish pretty hard.
Yeah.
I don't get anywhere as much as the proof until later in the palate. It's still kind of a vanilla bomb.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Cask Strength, straight white whiskey, 10 years. Oh, look at your face. Oh man, guys, you don't. This should have been a video. He is happy.
That's a very different experience.
Oh wow.
I'll let you do it first before I give mine.
At least I can just sip this one. Once again, like nothing really sticks out nose-wise for me. If anything, I kind of get a little bit of cherries.
Oh yeah,
some type of fruit. I don't get like vanilla. I
get more like a caramel on this one, but now more that same black licorice kind of scent I got on the first one.
It just smells fruity to me. Oh,
that's good. It's a different experience, right? It's like more refined. You know, it's similar, but I think less vanilla, more caramel. You for sure, for me, get the oak influence.
I'm definitely getting
definitely
the oak.
Get that. The same kind of spice, like black pepper allspice, but it's like more rounded. Whereas the 114 was a little prickly, like it was like a pepper bomb on the palate.
Dude.
This is like not smoother in terms of how it goes down the throat, but just on the tongue. It's
100% smoother going down. I'm not feeling Cask Strength at all.
Yeah.
You're nailing the description perfectly. How Old Overholt was kind of, it was like sharp and
the 114,
things kind of jumped out at you. Yeah, this Cask Strength is like being like a caramel. It's almost like oh man, it makes me think of like a maple old fashioned donut.
Oh shit, huh?
But it has to be the old fashioned ones, the ones ones that are the buttermilk.
Buttermilk, yeah.
Because I feel like it's very viscous.
Yeah, definitely. You're making it sound like it's like a really sweet.
No, I'm sorry. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not really sweet, but like
it does have. No, I agree. It does have like a sweetness to it.
Is that like I'm just like I like the sweetness of the caramel. If there was a diet version of those caramel apple pops,
oh yeah.
But the apple wasn't so strong.
Yeah.
If it was like the very tip of the core was the apple for me.
Yeah, I went back to the 114. They're both bold, but the 114 is definitely a little more punchier. It's hotter for sure. Like it's definitely a hotter pour, but in a really good way. Like, man, I actually really dig this one too. Dude, Old Overholt 114 and an old fashioned. I should have bought two of these.
You know what I hope you're picking up my audio. You know what I think we're getting here is just like, I think a lot of it is we're just getting the age.
Yeah.
Because like they both smell great.
Mm-hmm.
You just said, man, we have to make an old fashioned one for that tonight because that sounds like a cocktail I'd like to follow down the route.
Yeah, it's funny. I think this seems to me like a really good example of how like the higher age kind of refines. Like, I don't want to say smoothens, but refines. Right off the bat,
going back to the 114, right off the bat you get punched.
Yeah, I like it though. I like a good punchy.
You do, but you're still getting kind of the underlining taste.
Yeah, you're still flavors. You can tell it's the same family.
Yeah.
I like that.
That makes me actually really happy that the 114, like, okay, this would be a very like helpful class to give somebody.
Yeah.
Like we're going to give you the 4-year, then we're going to give you the 10-year. And I'm assuming the mash bills are the same.
Yeah, they got to be. I forget what it is, but I mean, yeah, we went from 114 proof to I think 121.
Yeah. Dude, I just like that bottle, man. That's a really pretty bottle.
Yeah, I have this next to my old granddad 114. It's a nice little, because it's literally the same exact bottle, just different label.
Just not with that embossment right here.
It has that, but it's a different one.
Really?
Yeah.
I guess I've never noticed that.
Yeah,
I just like the fat top.
Yeah, good looking bottle for sure. Yeah, these are both good. Highly recommend.
Some good gasoline.
Yeah, yeah. If you see them, yeah, dude, that's that high octane for sure. I don't regret buying a backup. That's for sure.
You got another Old Overholt 10?
I do. That doesn't mean we're gonna finish this tonight, though.
Rudy, I have never assumed I'm ever gonna finish any of your bottles unless you brought them half, like 3/4 empty, saying, "Can we please kill this bottle?"
Which we still need to do soon. There needs to be, maybe before you go back, there needs to be a, hey, who's in town?
You know what we need to do? We need to do
over.
an end of the season bottle kill.
Yeah, no, yeah,
Or you need to bring an extra suitcase to championships.
I kind of want to bring a Russell's Reserve just because Wild Turkey Summer was like the best idea I had last year. Like we're strictly drinking Wild Turkey on this bus,
right?
For me, but yeah. So anyway, that's what we're probably looking at.
Gotcha. All right.
But we should have an end of the season bottle kill for sure. I'm like trying to reorganize and move stuff up.
Yeah.
Mad Max Fury Road. Here we go.
In this wasteland, I am the one who runs from both the living and the dead. A man reduced to a single instinct. Survive.
It is by my hand! You will rise from the ashes of this world!
We are not things! We are not things!
Where is she taking them? I want them back! They're my property!
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
As the world fell, each of us in our own way was broken. It was hard to know who was more crazy. Me or everyone else.
Came out in 2015. In 2015, starring Tom Hardy, Charlize Theron.
It does not seem that long ago.
Crazy, right? 9 years. 9 years ago.
COVID messed everything up. I feel like I aged 5 years in COVID.
Yeah, I think that happened.
Like I went in 35 and I came out 40.
So I forget. So you, 6 Oscars. I remember it sweeping that year, and deservedly so. I was like, fuck yeah. Best achievement in film editing. Dude, obviously, I'll get back to that. Best achievement in costume design. Yep. Best achievement in makeup and hairstyling. Yep. Best achievement in sound mixing. Yes. Best achievement in sound editing. Yes. Best achievement in production design. And I forgot it was also nominated for Best Picture. It was nominated for directing, nominated for cinematography, nominated for visual effects. Well,
what got Best Picture over it?
In 2015, I don't know. I wonder if it'll say if I click. I have no idea. 2015, don't remember. It wasn't The Revenant. No, I think he may have gotten Best Director. I know that won cinematography, but
I don't know. I just.
Oh, that may have been the year of Spotlight, I think. I never saw it, but I think it was that year.
You never saw it? Bro.
No, I know. I need to watch it.
Dude, sit down and have a cocktail with that one and not hate the Catholic Church at the end. Oh, man.
But I forget. So did you grow up with the Mad Max movie? You know, we were talking about Road Warrior earlier and how good that movie is. Did you see that as a kid or later?
I saw Road Warrior as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty young. I can't give you an age. It was definitely before middle school. I remember seeing it. I feel like I saw a lot of those. My mom enjoyed all of those films. My mom was a huge Mel Gibson fan back in the day. And I remember watching it as a kid. Like I remember, once again, I think we said it before on the podcast, like I was an only child and it was made very clear to me early that these are all fake.
Right.
It's not real. So I remember seeing the first movie I ever saw of this genre was I saw Mad Max Road Warrior. And I thought that was the only film. I thought it was a standalone film. And I always thought it was super interesting because like, whoa, there's no backstory. There's no nothing. And then my mom told me later, like, oh no, there's other movies. And I went directly to Thunderdome.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember being like, I don't know. It was still fun and action packed. And then I didn't learn until on my own that there was a Mad Max.
That is a good point to bring up. And I think Matt and I probably talked about it when we first covered Road Warrior. But for those that don't know, so they're Australian films, and Mad Max 2 in Australia was called Mad Max 2 The Road Warrior. But when they released it in America, they just called it The Road Warrior because Mad Max wasn't like a big cult classic here yet.
Yeah.
What's cool about it, though, is like to your point, Mad Max 2 The Road Warrior does stand alone as its own.
Well, just the way it starts.
Yeah, because it gives you, it kind of narrates, there was nuclear war and people are fighting over resources and one man lost everything.
And it kind of it recaps. It has a feeling like, they're just kind of giving me a backstory.
Yeah.
And not knowing, all that stuff they just showed me was another movie.
Yeah.
And then I didn't find Mad Max until on my own, probably until like my late 20s. I found it on my own.
Mm-hmm.
Still to this day, Road Warrior is my favorite. For multiple reasons, maybe also a little bit of nostalgia because it's the first one I remember like really getting into. There's also parts now that I'm older that I like more about just the decision making in the film that I really appreciate, and I don't think is made enough in modern day films other than the music. And then that's why I think I liked Fury Road so much, and this is just my opinion, because I liked so much the Road Warrior, and I feel like Fury Road plays into a lot of the same feel.
Yeah, to me,
of the Road Warrior.
Yeah, I feel like Fury
simplicity
Road,
of it.
Yeah, the simplicity of it. Not a lot of dialogue. George Miller talks about how people from any other country that don't speak English should be able to watch the movie without subtitles and be able to follow exactly what's going on. The way I think about it, and I love this about it, this isn't a knock, is Mad Max Fury Road, so this is the fourth movie. It feels very much like George Miller was like, you know what? That final act, the big chase sequence in Road Warrior is so badass. Everybody loves it. I want to make a movie that's just that. I want to take the ending of Road Warrior and make it 2 hours long.
Dude, you're literally, I've been thinking this all day because like I took it even farther, was that I felt that it was like, oh man, I have full backing of this huge studio.
Yeah.
What could Road Warrior have been if I had these type of things at my disposal?
Yeah.
Because it's very much about being out there on the road, what happens. And then I also, when I go back to this, like the simplicity of it, it's like the story was never about Max.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's about just the situation he finds himself in and how interesting that situation is. And there's a show on HBO or Max, and I can't recall the name of it, but it's about a marijuana dealer. And it's not the show's not about the marijuana dealer. It's about like the people who he deals to.
Yeah.
And then what their weird situation. And that's how I always felt like that was the best part of Road Warrior, was just like, I just need some gas.
Yeah.
And then in Fury Road, it's literally just, I'm in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope that there are people which there are, that have never seen any of the Mad Max films and are just like, who is this dude? Like, why is he in the movie?
Yeah.
Because I could see people like, you could have started this movie and it could just have been about Furiosa on this road doing it, but like, why is he here? But it was like, this is like another one of those things I could get into a talk where these series of movies could either, one, they could keep on going forever, or it could be a great show where it's more of just like, Max is in this, he's just our constant in this universe.
Yeah, sorry, keep going.
And he just keeps getting into shit.
Yeah, he ends up in these situations where it feels like he reluctantly just has to help other people, but because it's inherent in him. Like, we got to remember that he was a cop before.
Yeah.
So deep down, even though he's trying to look out for himself.
Yeah, he's inherently a good person.
He's like, I got to help.
Yeah.
And, we see that. And that's the funny thing is, I think most of the people that went to see Fury Road, I believe most of the people never even saw the original movies. Now, what's cool about it is Fury Road, much like what we said about Mad Max 2, The Road Warrior, I think it does stand on its own. I don't think you necessarily.
Oh no.
You don't need to see the other movie. I think you can appreciate it more.
I think there are some moments in the movie that you would realize what's happening, like the flashbacks he has.
Yeah,
I think that's a little bit of homage to Beyond Thunderdome, and I think a lot of people are just like, "What the hell? What's going on? Like, why does he keep having this flash?" And once again, I'm pinpointing a very small point in the movie.
Yeah,
and I think that's also what's good about all of the movies is that they've, other than Furiosa, I think even Beyond Thunderdome, you can kind of go in and just kind of hit it.
Yeah,
you know.
And to your point too, I mean, I think even from the get-go, like the first time I saw this movie, I remember thinking like, oh, this is very much like Furiosa's movie. And I was listening to another podcast of someone talking about it, and they were folks that clearly weren't into the original movie, so they kind of trashed. And you feel they just didn't quite understand, and they wanted certain things to be developed or more dialogue. Or George Miller has a hard on for like the eyes. Why does he always push into the eyes? But that's been a thing since like Mad Max 1. That's just the shit. I do want to read the synopsis real quick, just in case. This is off IMDb. So, in a post-apocalyptic wasteland, a woman rebels against a tyrannical ruler in search for her homeland with the aid of a group of female prisoners, a psychotic worshiper, and a drifter named Max. I think that's funny that even in the synopsis, it's not even from his perspective, but it still works. It still works perfectly.
I also like that, once again, like if you've seen the other movies, it feels very much in Road Warrior. It's about gasoline.
Yeah.
Like, how do we get gas? Even though it feels like they do waste a lot of gas just to try to get the gas.
I always think it's funny that their weapons, and I mean, I guess it makes sense because they have gasoline, but that it's flamethrowers.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
they're just like burning gas.
they were at the refinery.
Yeah.
But I did that. That's the thing. Like, one of the first things I locked into Fury Road was that, like, now it's water.
Mm-hmm.
And he has control, like, over the water.
Yep.
And it's like, oh man. And then
so
it's
he
like
controls the people.
Yeah, and then it's like the bullet farm. It's like, oh, and I think they even talk about the refinery, right? Because isn't that where she or is she supposed to be going to the bullet farm, or
they were going to Gas Town?
Yes, and there's Gas Town. So it just makes you feel, people that have like we've been invested since the earlier movies, like, oh, now it's become like at least these people have created a hierarchy in a world where there's Gas Town, there's the bullet farm. Mm-hmm. This guy has all the water.
Yeah.
Like, this guy has his little, like, his baby makers. Mm-hmm. Like, oh man, it's literally like kind of getting appreciation for like how the dialogue has changed, how words have changed.
Yeah.
Just based off of like, it even happens in Road Warrior when they're talking about like two nations like that faced off and they shot, like the way they tell the story.
Yeah. The narration in the beginning of the movie.
It's as if they tell it from like way farther in the future.
Which they do, which is brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah. But this is a story. This is a story of this.
For reasons long forgotten.
Yeah.
Two warrior tribes.
And it's just so funny. Like the way they, like, I mean, like Guzzolene, like it's just like, it's so interesting. And then, like, obviously all these Gas Town boys that have been overbred and got freaking, tumors all over their bodies and stuff like that.
Well, because I think the thing is, like, the Half-Life, the war boys at the Citadel, the Half-Lights, is because they're all the result of, like, nuclear fallout and radiation. So that's why they're going to die, and you even see it in Immortan Joe. He's got all the, like, the shit on him. He's got, like, the ventilator, which, by the way, his whole design, like the whole like ventilator mask, but it's like a skull mouth and the head, like all of that. And same, we were talking about Humongous earlier and like the mystery of characters and a little bit about the villain in Furiosa, but how they give you just enough little hint of who they were. Like they make it a point to when they're putting on his like chest piece, it's all these like military medals. So he was like a fucking soldier who's been in the shit and was like, I think I saw an interview with George Miller recently where they asked, because he talked about how all those characters have like backstories that are pretty extensive. Like we don't know it,
right?
But he knows it. And how I guess Immortan Joe, what did he say? I wish I listened to it again, but his name was like Colonel Joseph Morton or something like that. And that he was like a military colonel, like a leader that, obviously survived and now is this like warlord person. But I think that's kind of cool, that everyone has an extensive
and I think
history.
any movie, when they can give us something like that and it's immediately intriguing, but you give us just enough background
Leave some mystery
to keep us like I don't need to have a cut flashback of Immortal Joe's whole freaking back.
Yeah.
Like, oh, great, cool. Thanks for taking out the mystic of it.
Right, exactly.
Now I know this guy's whole life. Sweet, cool. I don't need to know I don't need to know how they built the valves for the water.
Right.
I just need to know that he has control of it.
Yep.
And he gives them just enough to keep worshiping
To keep
him.
them loyal, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this also comes down to budget. I guess I just keep referencing Road Warrior because it's my favorite, because Road Warrior definitely feels like they're in Australia.
Oh, yeah.
Out in the middle of nowhere filming it. But like this like the fact that we don't see anything green in this film. It's literally like we're now in like a wasteland. So it's either all gone or we're in or he's deeper, he's farther wherever he is. I was like thinking about that watching it the other night, like, oh man, like just how different the landscape has changed. And I also appreciated that like the evolution of the groups of people, like once again, like not only the gas town, all that, but then also like the people out in the desert, like when they're just like, is that a war rig like out here in our area? It's like, whatever, right. I welcome it. Like, like
let's go pick a fight.
I love it, man. Like
the buzzards. No, it's amazing, man. Right from the get-go, I like how this movie too, also through the opening credits, which you don't see anymore really, kind of recaps it, where you hear like the voices of like news reports and the bomb and all that. And, you go right into Max getting caught up by these guys, and this whole opening where he's trying to escape, and they pull him in and the title comes up with the engines revving.
I also love that they went back to the Dodge Interceptor.
The last of the V8s.
Like his I grew up around I still have a 65 Mustang that me and my dad built. Because it has a Wayland supercharger on it, and I always loved in the film that he could turn his supercharger on and off, which as far as I know isn't a thing. It's belt driven, and if it's going, it's going, because it's now your whatever. But I just always loved that, like the sound of it, and he had that switch on his gear shift to pull it up, and that's what shot in the more fuel and the more air. And I was always like, this is
because he had like the NOS, right? Isn't that what that is?
No, well, he has that,
or at least
too,
in the first movie.
But he also has the Wayland supercharger on it, and you see it in the movie. He's like, oh, I'm almost out of gasoline, and he turns it off, and he turns off his supercharger. So you see it's like and it shuts off. So now he's just going through normal aspiration of air and fuel. But when you hit that supercharger, it's like sucking air. And so then he has to also, that means he has to also drive the fuel. It's probably whatever. I'm getting into geeky car stuff.
Yeah, that's intense.
But I remember like as a young kid having a visceral reaction to that. And I even loved that they had that. I was almost bummed that he had the Dodge Interceptor because he loses that car. And
we only see him driving in that opening scene for a short time.
Exactly. But he loses it in Road Warrior.
It gets destroyed in Road Warrior.
Yeah. Which, I mean, he has it all of Mad Max because it's his cop car.
Yeah. Well, what's funny too, sorry, I was talking to Matt about this when we were talking about those movies, that the black V8 Interceptor, the Mad Max car, is like, to me, one of the iconic movie cars. Like it for sure is. Yeah. If I was a billionaire, I would buy like a replica of that shit, you know? Okay. And what's so funny is like in the original Mad Max movie, he doesn't take it till the end. Because he has like his yellow MPF like cop car, and they show him because they use it to entice him to stay. They're like, "Yo, we got this badass engine. This is the last of the V8." Although they say that in like all the movies, even in this one, they're like the V8. I take the V8. Yeah. It's like the last of the V8 Interceptors. But he doesn't get it till the final act when he decides that he's gonna murder the motorcycle gang. He with that great shot, So it's funny how, and then, in Road Warrior, where we talked about how he gets destroyed like halfway through.
Really
in this movie, it gets destroyed. So it's like, wow, he actually really doesn't We don't see him drive it that much.
I was waiting to see like that weird car that he had, or anything else. Because
well, in Thunderdome he has like the wagon with the camels.
Yeah.
Well, it was like a car made into
So, but I think it's more of a nostalgic thing to kind of start with.
Yeah.
And me, as I took it, I was like, okay, well, I mean, I think that this car is kind of like this Mad Max is that car. I think that's what most people think of it. So it's like,
agreed.
So it's like, well, we'll just blow it up within the first 30 seconds of the film. But I also loved how bad the car looked. Like even like the tires were rotten and the cords were coming through the tires. Like I loved this. Like
I thought there was like chains over it. That's what it kind of.
No,
looked
I think
like,
it was.
yeah.
I think it was literally like the braiding of the tire, like literally just coming through it. Because what a great example of like. Is this post-apocalyptic world, and this guy's driving all over the place. He's not going in for tire changes.
Yeah, right.
Like this is more like it does like the way he's driving it, and the way and it made me think of him getting like sideswiped all of a sudden, just ruining his sidewalls. But it still really bummed me out when it got. But I don't want to jump forward. But I think that like as you had mentioned before, how you said like this last 2 hours. Of the last 30 minutes of this film, we want to make a whole film about this. Like that's when I knew I was completely bought in to Fury Road, because they bring down the tanker. They say they're doing the whole thing. They go on the ride. Furiosa goes rogue. All this stuff. But when they send out the whole crew, it was literally I just thought of Road Warrior times fucking 100.
Oh yeah,
because all those cars are weird.
Yeah,
and you think about like it'd have to be because nothing else is being produced anymore. You're gonna have to be like just intermixing stuff and figuring it out,
modifying,
like, and especially they're in the sand. They need like wide placed wheels with like low air, like to get across all this stuff, but still like. But they're still like, well, I'm the most important guy, so mine better look like I better have the Cadillac.
Yeah,
that's on
like monster truck wheels
on the Bigfoot chassis.
Yeah,
like, and I remember like that's when I knew this movie had me, because it was like, oh, okay, well, this is big rig. They're it all seemed pretty like laced in some sort of reality, just how it was in Road Warrior, like oh, you need gas, you come to me. Like I saw a rig not only a few miles out. I just need 5 gallons of high octane and 5 gallons of diesel.
Yeah.
And I mean, yes, it's a cool modified like rig to haul this thing, but when they decide to go after them, that's when it's like, oh, this George has a checkbook now, and we're getting to see that fucking. And when all the Half-Life boys are grabbing their steering wheels off the freaking like
no, it's funny, man, because I remember I saw Road Warrior I think when I was still in high school. I mean, I talked about this in the other episode, but my dad was a fan of the original Mad Max movie. I remember he had it when I was a kid, and I saw bits and pieces of it, and when I got in the movies a little older, I finally watched it. I think I saw Road Warrior when I was in high school, maybe like early college.
Okay.
And, you know, I was an aspiring filmmaker, am an aspiring filmmaker. And I remember talking to friends and very clearly, like, I was so inspired by that movie. And I was saying, like, after I saw Road Warrior, I was like, I want to do a movie like that. Like, I want to do the next, like, badass fucking car chase movie. Like, that ending is so amazing. And when that first like Comic-Con trailer dropped of Mad Max Fury Road, and I still watch it, like I'm really into trailers because I like to edit and I love a well-edited trailer.
Yeah.
I mean, all the Mad Max Fury Road trailers were great, but that first Comic-Con one is so special to me. Like I watch it literally regularly, and I remember being so amazed by it. And when I finally saw the movie, and I took my dad to see Fury Road because I was like, that's important to me. I was like, yo, we're gonna go see this together. And blown away by this movie in the theater, top to bottom, not a dull moment. And I walked out of it like, well, I'm not going to top that. Like, I wanted to be the person that was going to, it's like, I wanted to be the person that would do the next like rendition of it. And man, do I not have a vision close to what George had in this movie. he fucking tenfold on this shit.
It's why it is
one of, sorry, I'm gonna say it's one of the greatest action movies of all time. Easy by far. Like I walked out of the theater, I was like, that set the standard for what action movies need to be. It's 2015 from fucking here on out. Like, so for me, in the last, I don't know, 10 years, Mad Max Fury Road and fucking John Wick. When we're talking action movies, that's my shit, dude.
I would say I might narrow it down a little bit. I think that if you're going to create a film in its own world that we don't know about, that we've necessarily never seen, like I think that's the blueprint. Because like I don't know, I think like John Wick is a loose term. It's an action movie based in reality. Everyone has nice suits. Everyone just kind of looks good. But the action, I get what you're saying. I think John Wick is the blueprint for, if you're going to make me an action film, you better get whoever trained the John Wick guys to do it.
Yeah.
But I think when it comes to a movie that's in a new world that we don't, the attention to detail in makeup, hair, costuming, like nobody had a costume that looked to be like, just throw him in that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It like
meticulous.
Like maybe like the Half-Life boys and the guys on the War Rig, they had like an aesthetic, but when you really look at all of them, they're just, it's like, I can't imagine being on that crew for costuming, because it literally just feels like, all right, bring in cast member 73.
Yeah. Everyone had to have something different.
Nope. Cool. All right. 74.
Mm-hmm.
And then also the cars. Bring in car 11. No, I don't like that car 11 and car 12 have the same tread design. Like we both put Michelin something. Nope. Like this right here has to have BF Goodrich. This has to have this. Like
I was gonna bring that up. Like the fact that they, like all those cars they fucking built.
I know. Dude,
like they exist in the real. That's what's crazy. It's not CGI.
No, it's all
like
real.
They built all of those and they exist in the real world. In that George Miller had the crew, the people that were doing that. It's like everything has to be like repurposed materials that already exist. Like not just in the cars, but yeah, like the costuming inside the vehicles, like the sets of the Citadel, everything. It has to be repurposed stuff that already, like, it's not new shit. It has to literally be like stuff rebuilt and modified and customized.
I watched a whole behind the scenes thing. It was about the cars of Fury Road, and I think almost every car, I think almost every car was based off an LS engine, which is like a basic Chevy 350, because it's so cheap. You can get parts of Chevy 350 easy. But it was more about like, okay, well, what's this exhaust look like? Does this have a supercharger? Are we going to run turbos on this? Like, it was like, what can we do to make this just look? It just looks like a wild Matchbox car set of like a kid. Like, you're just like, oh, this isn't a real car. And you play with it as a kid. And those dudes made a fleet of those vehicles. And I remember watching Road Warrior, like, I want that car. I don't know what it is. It's some type of, like, look at like, the only normal things in that film were the motorcycles. Everything else was like I don't know what Humongous is driving, but I want it.
Yeah, right.
You know, like I don't know what that guy's driving, but I want it. And I feel like when I saw Fury Road in the theater as well, and it was one of those films, which happens to me rarely, is I walked out and I was like, I gotta watch it again. I know I missed like a ton of shit, especially being a car guy. Just being like, man, there was just so much stuff going on. I need to see that again. Also, it's wild. It'll always be wild to me how these production companies get a hold of some of these unattainable, rare cars and just rip the shit out of them.
Right. Just destroy
just
them.
Like, oh man, I don't know where that guy got that 49 Ford, but they just ripped the shit out of it. Like, goddamn. But the thing is, like, the attention to detail in all facets is wild to me, and I can't imagine being the person in charge of the whole thing.
Yeah. Right.
You have to think the buck stopped at George Romero. Like there was nothing.
George Miller.
Sorry, George Miller.
Dr. George Miller.
Sorry, George. I just didn't think that anything got past him. Like it just.
Oh yeah.
We just like line them up. Like we're here. Line them up. Yes. That's not crazy enough.
Right. Yeah.
No. Get rid of it. No. Like there was just so much. Even like down to the poles they threw at the
so
vehicles.
Cool,
like,
dude.
like
so cool.
Like this was all in your head, or was there a team of people that sat up and thought of this stuff, you know? Because like once again, like you said already, it just seemed like this is like how much money can I have to make this film? Oh, well, I made a bunch of films with nothing like this. You're not even ready about what you're gonna see.
Yeah, I think we had already Matt and I kind of talked about the budgets like for each of the movies and how they grew. So this one I forgot. Let me look it up right now. Hopefully I can find this quick. So budget was an estimated $150 million. The original Mad Max was $300,000.
Road Warrior. What did you say? Fury Road was
Fury Road $150 million.
Okay, Road Warrior was $3 million.
$3 million. That's right. And then Beyond Thunderdome was I think 12 or 9 million or something. Because they like went up each time.
Wow, it did.
Yeah, Thunderdome estimated 10 million. Yeah, quite a jump, man. Yeah, I mean, it's funny. We're barely even talking about like the story. The story is good. It's what it is. It's like,
I'm sorry. The story's great, but
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
we're just enamored by everything that we got to kind of like. I don't know.
It's an achievement on all aspects.
Well, I also think that it was the movie within this universe that we all wanted.
Mm-hmm.
That it was like, you know what, he did. George never got the time or the credit to keep going, and then like I remember seeing the trailer like, no way, like this in 2015 he gets to go with this, like with big money, like oh shit. And then I just, it was one of those, like, I think there's been so many times where we've been disappointed with like something from our,
right.
I mean, for me, more childhood, but like something that we nod on early in our adulthood or something. We're like, oh, this is super special to me. And they're like, well, now we're going to give you something else. And you're like, don't fuck this up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't mess this up for me. And then to knock it out of the park on all levels, like, you didn't fuck it up. You you honestly killed it. And it's like, it like
the best work you've ever done.
Yeah. And it makes it bigger than like the storyline. It's more of just like, just sitting there, just like, I can't believe we're getting this.
Mm-hmm. We're lucky. I'm lucky I get to experience
like this was the easiest ticket I ever bought for a matinee.
Mm-hmm.
Or if I spent $400 to watch it once the sun goes down.
Yeah.
Like, and once again, the story, it is great. All it fires on those cylinders as well. The music is ridiculous.
Dude, soundtrack amazing. I hope somehow if they could do a re-edit of Road Warrior, but with this soundtrack.
Or with anyone not being, what's his name?
Brian
Wilson. Yeah, Brian May. Sorry. God, Brian Wilson.
It just sounds too, it sounds too Star Wars. Like I always say when he is at the top of the hill and he's watching the gas refinery with the binoculars. They even do like the Akira Kurosawa / George Lucas like wipe transitions.
Yeah.
And just like the brass lines. It just sounds too like A New Hope soundtrack.
I did like the chase scene music though. Just seems like it felt like an engine. But yeah, like there are two scenes in the movie that musically like stick out to me, and I think they're also visually. No,
I just want to. Here's what they are to me. Can I say? I wonder if they're the same as you.
Like visually and musically, like just absolutely stunning.
The sandstorm.
Yep.
And when they're getting chased by the dirt bike guys after they pass the canyon.
No, mine is the sandstorm, and then when Furiosa drops to her knees.
Oh yeah, that's another good moment. Yep. A lot of weight right there.
Just the music, like it's just like also what's happening to her and the information. You're 100% right. The music is fantastic in that, and the motorcycles are like shooting over them. Like it's almost just like triumphant. Like the music, I feel like that's the first time we hear that color as well in the soundtrack.
Yeah.
But the epicness of the sandstorm inside of it, I remember like getting teary eyed, like in that moment, just like
it's great. Yeah, it makes it feel emotional.
Yeah, because it was like it's one of those moments where just like your senses are being overloaded.
Yeah, like
I don't know if you've heard of it. I don't know what it has a term, but it's like when people go into space and they look back and they see the Earth. Like 9 out of 10 people have like an emotional reaction because they see that like It's literally called something. Google it. and because they see Earth and they realize like how little we are.
Yeah.
In this huge thing.
Yeah.
And not that this is the same thing, but I was watching it just being like, what? The scheme of this, the musical, the visual weight. It was just like, it was almost like I was like so happy of their achievement. It was just like why am I? I'm having an emotional moment to a car chase in a storm.
And like, and even there's like a couple of the cars get picked up by the tornado and are like,
It's like
in the music.
and it's just like the chords. And I was like,
what's amazing too is like when the lightning strikes happen, the flashes go into black and white.
yeah.
And it's an amazing sequence. It was just magical. Like the visuals in the music, it was just like cinema, like peak cinema artistry.
And it's funny because like the other scene I mentioned of when Furiosa drops to her knees, like because of her. Now that's an emotional scene, like of the information she's received. And I felt for the character in that moment, but I did not have a visceral emotional reaction like I did in the storm scene.
Yeah.
Just being like, I've never seen this. Like I've seen people drop to their knees in a film and get bad news. And even though it is beautiful and the way the sand's moving and the music and her arm falling off, like it's a great sequence, but we've kind of seen that scene before.
Yeah.
But the storm thing with the music and it's ascending up there and they're like, and the car is getting sucked up and like you see the like Max is in the thing trying to make sure like do not light that freaking thing. Like you see the Furiosa across, like it just seems like one of those things that they were in a room and somebody was talking through the scene and they were all just like, you want us to do what? He's like, don't say do what, just get in the freaking booth and figure it out. We're going to do this. We have all this money they're giving us. We can figure this out. And it's funny because like, it feels like for me, the whole movie is ramping up to that moment. It's just a climb. Because after that, as I feel the first time, for me at least, I get it to take a breath.
Yeah. And we're not even like halfway yet.
No.
And that's just like, we're literally in the opening, like first act. And it does kind of feel that structure because the storm, you see the flare land in the sand and then it just goes out and fades to black. And that's a good point. Then you get your breath after that.
Because even then it's like, he's still captured. Then you see like Immortal Joe. He's like you see he's
the water. She takes the rig. Like it happens so quickly
and so well paced.
Yeah.
That it's like I remember getting to the point in the theater where like it's just the sand and it's completely still. And I love that he slowly comes out of it and then immediately like, oh shit, like pops out of it fast.
Yep.
I remember like being in the theater like, how long have we been watching this movie?
Yeah.
Like, because I just lost time. It was like, at that point, you could have told me I was watching the film for 3 hours. I wouldn't know. Because it was just like, this is incredible. And then it kind of revamps. And I feel like that we go into the second act at that point, it feels like.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, now we're establishing what's happening, why it's happening. Nicholas Hoult kind of gave me the helicopter pilot vibe a little bit.
A little bit.
But I loved his sense of purpose and how much he like.
He's actually a good character. Yeah.
A really good character to where like, I think the helicopter pilot, which I'm referencing Road Warrior, was more of like a little bit of a comic relief.
Yeah.
Like this was so well placed and he's just like, just totally bought into this indoctrination of craziness.
Yeah, this kamikaze lifestyle.
Yeah.
Even this fight scene between, Max and Furiosa is so well edited on the same level of all the car chase shit. Like this whole movie is a masterclass in just editing. It has to be one of the best edited movies of all time. It fucking has to be. And when you're watching it, you don't think about that and you shouldn't. It just flows so perfectly and you feel it and it's rhythmic. It's stuff that you shouldn't articulate. But since I'm a filmmaker and an editor, I see it a little bit differently.
Right.
And man, it is just perfect. I think I forgot her name, but it's actually George Miller's wife, I believe, that edited it. But this whole movie, man, that's all I can say. It's incredible the way it's cut together. all the sequencing, and the fact that the way they framed everything is because, when you're composing a shot, there's something called the rule of thirds. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but you put your focuses on the thirds. But everything that's important to look at is always in the center. And it's still, every composition, every frame is still a well-composed shot, but your main focus is always in the middle. And that's part of what makes it flow so well, even though there's a lot of fast cuts. And normally I hate ultra fast cutting. I can't fucking stand it. But it's so well executed here because she's a great editor, and also just the way they shot it, where the focus is always in the middle. So your eyes never have to like jump from one side. Your eyes aren't jumping here, so it feels smooth because you're always like in the center.
Here.
Yeah, so no matter how like quick it is, your eyes are always in the right spot, which I think is just brilliant. Because normally it almost feels like you're taught to like not do stuff like that. But yeah, man, amazing, just amazing on all ends. That motorcycle chase, and they cut the fuel tank off, and it explodes, and the monster truck like goes through the flames, and jumping motorcycles. Oh, good Lord. I felt so good when he got his jacket back too, and he puts his jacket. I'm like, there it is. He's not full Mad Max until
I also like he's like, give me that. Like, that's my jacket.
You can ask for more than a jacket.
Yeah, there's definitely good little moments like that. Like, give me that. But like, I just like that once we get to like after everything dies down and he's like found they're like all getting water and cutting off the chastity belts.
Yeah.
I love even at that moment, like all he wants is the gear off his head.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to get out of here.
Yeah.
Oh, give me some water. And I really don't give a shit about your situation.
Yeah.
I just want
trying to get out.
I just want to get out of here.
Yeah.
And then finally it's just like, hey, like only I know the codes of the thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's just like, shit. Like I gotta go with you. And then even for a while, he's like, since he wants to get the hell out of there before they even get to the next through the mountain pass. It's just like, no, I really just don't like.
He's like, no, don't go through there.
Yeah, he's like, no, go this way.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's like, no, I'll go out and I'll check. You keep driving. Like we're gonna get out of this. Like it doesn't seem like it's like it becomes like, okay, we're in this shit together. We'll survive together. Because I like when she says, what does she yell? Like if I yell,
she's like, what's your name? What does it matter? She's like, I need to know. He's like, doesn't say anything. And she's like, all right, when I yell full,
when I yell
drive
full,
as fast as you can.
And I do love when she yells full, he's literally gone. It's just like,
yeah.
Like, because I don't know, there's so many times in a film where it says, when I yell go, don't wait for me. Like, It's like, why'd you wait for me? Well, when she's like, full, and he's like,
yeah. No, it's funny that I bumped on that this time. Or I've seen this movie many times, but this is the first time, maybe because I'm looking at it more critically, where it almost feels like he gets down for the cause, even though it's for his own sake, like really fast. But man, I buy it, and it still feels realistic and organic. Like I can see it being in another movie where I'd be like, oh, okay, all of a sudden, first he's got a gun on her. Now he's willing to go check the engine, but it does fit and makes sense. Like it, it works out really well.
I still think it's a lot of self-preservation.
Yeah.
Even like we're dragging, like the hydraulic line's not hooked up. I'll go check it. Just keep freaking driving. I have all the weapons.
And yeah, true. And very clearly, like, all right, you don't want to die. I don't want to die. At least we can.
I really don't feel that he's like bought into like, okay, until what's her name dies.
Oh, okay. The wife, one of the wives,
the one that's pregnant.
Yeah,
because she's like
she went under the tires.
Because doesn't he like he's like reaching out, or she's like smiling at him or something,
and he's like,
yeah. He's like it's super. He's like this. He's like like a super awkward like yeah, okay. And then she gets sucked out, and it's just like, I think in that moment when they get past it and they're all distraught, he sees like especially because he's having all the flashbacks of the children,
right?
And he's just like, okay, like, you know what, like I'm willing to, because I also have inherently, I don't think he wants to live. I kind of feel like Mad Max is over it, and he'll keep fighting for his thing. But if he can find a cause like worth dying for, I'm ready to go. Like I don't care, because like I just get that. Maybe that's me looking in really, really hard, but it just seems like a guy that's like, I don't want to die like this. I don't want to die hooked up as a blood bag to this freaking Half-Life boy. I'd rather just go off and be by myself.
Mm-hmm.
But like, if I get to pick a cause that maybe redeems me in a certain way, because I never got to save my family.
Yeah.
Let's fucking roll. Let's make it happen.
I do love that moment later. Like I'm jumping all the way to when they get to the many mothers. She finds out the place is gone, this and that. When she's talking about, we can ride that way for 100 miles. Come with us.
Yeah.
And he's just like, you'll go insane or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, but man, when he stops them and gives the plan, like we go back, we charge through. It's such a good, I don't know. I just love the dialogue, and he's laying it out like the plan and all that. And he's like, maybe then, we can find some sort of redemption.
Yeah.
And when he puts his hand out and they just do the Predator, fucking
do it.
what they do.
Yeah.
And I just love, it's such a strong, powerful moment. And I feel it. I feel that and he's just like nodding at it. It's such a good, that feels like a classic old school movie moment you don't get now. Now, what's crazy too, and this is a testament to how good of actors these two are, is apparently they did not like each other on the movie, and they butted heads all the time. Funny enough, I think both of their stunt doubles actually got married after the movie.
They were probably trauma bonded. Yeah. They're sitting in the corner, like just next to each other, like we might have to do this scene.
Yeah,
right. This might be a different cut. We might have to do it.
Yeah, it's hard to find like information on what exactly was going down. I think it's because he seems, and I've heard other interviews about him, like he seems very not like hot-headed, but just like a little more on the method side and maybe too serious and like very alpha, like it's his fucking set.
Okay.
So maybe that's it. I don't know. I mean, he's a great actor, but I just think that's amazing that even when that was their situation behind the scenes, that
I was surprised to hear it.
That they hated each other.
Yeah.
It's like, man, you guys did not you guys sold me. Like, I believe you guys
acted
fucking die together, like for this cause. But I love the idea that like their stunt doubles, like complete opposite, like fell in love and got married after. Yeah, man. And that whole last sequence too. Again, we get another big cool to the gas truck blowing up like from back to front, and as he's being pole vaulted around, and even the pole vault people were real, man. It's so cool.
Wait, I have to jump back to another moment where we get a glimpse into the badassness of Mad Max. It's when it's at night.
The nighttime part, yeah.
And he's just like, give me this, give me this, give me this.
He's like, I need to move 5 clicks up that way.
Yeah.
What if you're not back in time? Keep moving. Yeah, I love that.
And you just and once again, it's one of those things where it's like you don't get to see it.
Mm-hmm.
And all you see are explosions, blah 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 blah, and like they all turn around like, what the hell is happening? And then he just comes back, and he's like covered in blood, and they're just like, he's like, what's in this?
Mother's milk.
Just like washing himself up. They're just like, I love it.
He's got all this ammunition. Yeah. I love the detail that he even brings a boot for nuts because he took his. I love that. So brilliant. Like he's so thoughtful of everybody. And that's one of those moments where it's like, oh, that's the cop. He's going to protect everybody. And now,
protect himself.
And I never really thought about this, but I think, because I never thought he had a death wish at all. Because even in the beginning, one instinct, survive. And that's what he's trying to do the whole time. Like you said, self-preservation. But when he does make that turn, like I just thought about that, because he says, oh, yeah, like, well, what if you're not back yet? You keep moving. You go without me.
Yeah.
Just fucking get out of here. I love that.
Well, I mean, even you said it, Lori. He says like, and then maybe that's our chance at redemption.
Yeah.
Like I just feel like he's, as much as he wants to be on his own, I feel like he's looking for a moment to be redeemed, and I think it's like, well, I'll just survive. Like that's it. Yeah. But like if the cause presents itself,
to help some people along the way.
What better way to go?
Yeah.
But yeah, that whole sequence coming back, like with those guys on the poles, like Immortal Joe, like that. What a great way for. I love that they take his fucking body back. Like I love that dude. Like
yeah.
like I always feel like I get like overly like I would have taken his goddamn car. Blah, blah, blah. I was like, oh no, they did it.
Yeah.
They took the carcass back.
Yeah. And all those people are just like ripping them apart. Oh shit. Yeah. It's a great sequence, man. And you know, even when Nux doesn't make it, like you feel for him.
Yeah,
it's
man.
an emotional part. Oh man, I love the old ladies too. I really do. I think they're cool. And I love that talk when they're like, oh, satellites, they used to play shows and back in the day, you didn't have to shoot anybody. Like there was plenty of resources to go around. And the talking about the sea, like I love all that and how like badass they are. You can tell everyone's a warrior. You know,
they're all their little road warriors.
Yeah, all of them. Love all of that. Super well done.
I don't know. I know we're not at the end yet, but I just love the lack of fanfare when he leaves.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. It's the most Mad Max thing ever.
It just kind of fades off.
Yeah, because Furiosa's like, where the hell is he? And like they're being like lifted up. And all the music is like,
just backing into the crowd,
and he's just like this, like. And he just like looks back like
just on to the next adventure.
Like, you made it. He's like, now I got to go find my car because his car's there somewhere.
Well, no, he got destroyed. Because remember, there's that whole part where he's on the front of the truck and he's like spitting that shit into the engine to keep it going, and the other dude is doing it too. That's his car. And then
that's right.
Yeah, and he was driving it, and they destroyed it because they like put it was between the two trucks, the war rig and the other one. And they crushed it, and he fucking exploded.
I will say it was very helpful to rewatch this film with subtitles on, because I feel like you miss a lot of his dialogue because he's
mumbling.
Because he's just like, that's my boot. Like that's my car. Like
that's my car. Yeah, when he's on that's my car. Yeah,
yeah. There's like stuff that like, I mean, he already doesn't talk very much, but there's stuff that I think that at least me, like sometimes I don't hear a lot of dialogue. Sometimes
same.
That you're like, oh, he said something right there. I thought it was just grunting.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember like, because they has like the Chrome edition.
So I saw that. Did you see it?
Yeah, I've watched it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I went to the ArcLight. I saw it at the ArcLight.
Oh, it's just part of the movie I have. You can either watch it in the normal version.
Really, the Blu-ray? I have the Blu-ray. I don't think mine has that.
No, this is the I don't know. It's just whatever I downloaded on.
Oh shit.
Yeah, I got it.
Oh damn. Okay. Yeah, I went to the theaters to see it when they released in the black and white version. And I remember hearing a rumor that it was also going to be like a silent film. That was the idea, like not only black and white, but that they were going to take out all the dialogue. It would just be the music, the soundtrack. They didn't. It still had it all. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was interesting because there's a lot of psychology to like color palette in movies and, you know, even the shows, band shows and all that. In this one, they obviously went for a massive like color contrast, right? The warm and the orange of the sands, and they really saturated the skies. The day for night stuff is super blue. Like they went in on the colors. It's very vibrant.
Right.
So I was like, all right, the black and white one should be like interesting because that's a whole, you're really changing the vibe. Like even, you know, they did a re-release of Godzilla -1 in black and white. And I saw that in the theater and fucking, it was like watching the movie for the first time again.
Really?
And especially because it's like a period piece.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's very much like a remake of the original one almost. Okay. It felt like, oh man, and they used the original music from like the original movie.
Oh yeah,
so it almost So it felt like, oh shit,
for the remix.
Pharaoh Monch.
Yeah.
Simon Says. But anyway, all that to say, it didn't impact me that much. Like it was still great, but I thought it would feel way different because the black and white, and it really didn't to me. Which I thought was interesting.
I liked it until the storm sequence.
Oh, I still liked it. Yeah,
I thought it took away from the storm sequence. Just because I thought like the lightning flashes, it was so vibrant and such like an I was like borderline overstimulated.
Yeah,
but in a good way.
Yeah,
so I was like, oh man, like number one, I thought the Chrome edition, I thought it looked great. I thought it was
for sure.
It shows how well the movie's made without that color palette. Just how the color palette was like just a cherry on top.
Yeah.
But I think that that storm scene, like I remember watching it like, okay. Because even after that, like everything after that, I was like, okay, I'm back. I'm back. I'm all about the Chrome edition. This is cool. But it was mainly the storm scene where I lost it a little bit. But yeah, I got the Chrome edition.
I did want to shout out real quick. Hugh Keys Byrne, I think was his name, who played the villain in the original Mad Max, Toe Cutter.
Okay.
I love that George Miller got him back to play Immortan Joe in this movie. I just think that's really incredible that you got the same actor that played the villain in like the very first movie, 1979, back to be the villain in Fury Road.
What is this guy up to?
He passed away a few years ago.
No, what was he up to before that?
I don't remember. I've looked up his filmography before, but it's not anything I've ever recognized.
That's kind of crazy. Like, is he off doing nothing?
I guess so. I think he was more of a theater guy, to be honest, maybe. I forgot. There was interviews with him on the Blu-ray that I watched at the time, but it's been a long time, so he probably talks about it.
Yeah, because I think what I have is like, I think when I downloaded it, because I download a lot of my films, I think it's like a special edition Blu-ray, because there's a ton of like extras that have like interviews and all kinds of stuff, which I've watched. I think that's where I saw the car stuff. Which is just like me. I like going in and watching all that stuff. I know some people don't care. I mean, I'm not as much of a Blu-ray purchaser anymore because number one, I have a Blu-ray player, but I don't know. I think I was more into it when I was at Best Buy for all those years because they'd come out. I'd go grab one. I was going to get a discount. I'm getting this when I leave. It was all about having your Blu-ray collection. And I remember the Blu-ray / HD movie wars.
The competent HD DVDs.
HD DVDs. I remember those wars, man. Like just being like, and then how clear the winner was going to be when the winner sided with two different genres. But like, I don't know. I haven't bought a Blu-ray in a while.
I still do. I'm a big physical.
The only Blu-rays I still own and I go to every once in a while is the first 6 films in the Star Wars story.
Okay.
On Blu-ray.
All right.
Band of Brothers on Blu-ray. I think it's just those two. Those are the two like I feel like Harry Potter.
Okay.
Well, now it's all coming back. And the Lord of the Rings.
Okay.
On Blu-ray. Like I like to let me pull this Blu-ray player out. Because I remember like back in the day it was like, well, first you want a PS2 because a PS2 is a Blu-ray player, but it's also up converting. And then I got out. I was just never into gaming. And then finally like being at Best Buy, like I'm gonna buy a nice Blu-ray player. And then all of a sudden it didn't care if it was nice or not. You just need a Blu-ray player. Like just stop buying into you needed this nice Samsung Blu-ray player. It's like, or you could
they all do the same thing.
You could get a TV with a Blu-ray player in it. Or what you want is the Blu-ray player with the VHS player. I worked at home theater where they try to get us to push that on people all the time. People are like, should I get up the DVD with the VHS? No, it's dead.
Yeah.
We shouldn't even be talking about this at all. Let's just go find a Blu-ray player that'll play your DVDs.
Yeah.
That was the worst employee ever. Too honest, I guess.
Yeah.
But no, I think that I feel that I'm still getting good quality like on the 4Ks and stuff like that.
Yeah, if your TV has the resolution like for that, like can do it.
Then we're pretty lucky. Our TV's ridiculous. But I guess I do kind of feel sometimes you put the Blu-ray in, you're like, oh.
I'm a big, I've just always was a physical media person. And then now it's even more important to me because it's disappearing. And the way you hear about like some of the streaming sites, one, just like getting rid of shit. Because then you're at the mercy of when they want to play it. And if they don't want to pay for that license, like there's movies we might not ever get to see again. And then the fact that the worst thing, and I think Disney's the biggest culprit of this, is that now they're going in and like re-editing shit and like cutting scenes out and shit like that. I just cannot stand for. I think that's a fucking travesty.
Yeah, HBO.
I think it's a mockery. HBO
too.
Yeah, I can't like nope. And then unless you had the DVD when it came out, like now there's shit that's just gone for good that you're not going to see again. Yeah, fuck all that, man. Just take us back to the film days We're gonna be like the kids in Beyond Thunderdome with the. You remember the things where you put your eyes through it and you like flip through the photos?
You're gonna ask if you can come over to watch the movie. I'm moving in the back like.
Yeah. What is it? I don't know. Clerks 3. When they're like, "Oh, we have the film print of this movie." It's like, "How'd you watch it?" It's like, we just held up a flashlight and looked at the pictures.
just dropped it real quick. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, shit, man. I mean, you haven't seen Furiosa yet. We'll wrap it up here. You haven't seen Furiosa yet, but let's say of the first 4 Mad Max movies, what would your ranking be?
Top to bottom?
Mm-hmm. I only asked because Matt and I did this the other day. So
top one has to be Road Warrior.
Okay.
It's everything I like about the genre.
Mm-hmm.
I'll leave it at that. I would have to say my second one would be Fury Road. The next one would be this is hard now at the end. I think I would put the next one. I would put Beyond Thunderdome, and then I would put Mad Max.
Oh shit! Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah.
And I only think it's because, like, number one, I am not I think people that are really into film and really into, like, more like, I can see you putting Mad Max up higher, but I think you're an aspiring filmmaker and you're into that stuff. You're into building the shot. You're into, and me, I think I'm like the ultimate consumer. Yeah. And like, I need a little bit more, you need to flash more lights at my face sometimes for me to be happy. So that's why I think I put Thunderdome above Mad Max.
That's kind of a thing though. Like, so when I rewatched them recently, I thought that's the way that was going to play out for me. Cause I always felt like the first Mad Max was kind of the weaker film for me, but honestly, like revisiting it recently, I'm like, this one's pretty good, man. I'm like, I think it's better than I remember. There's some weird stuff in it. And I talked about it on the podcast with Matt. And Beyond Thunderdome, like the first half of it, I think is really strong. But when it gets to the Lord of the Flies, like Peter Pan, Lost Boys part, and it's kind of interesting, but it doesn't, I don't know, it just doesn't quite work for me. And then the ending chase, the only bummer about it, I know I'm recapping that episode right now, but the only bummer about it is it's like they kind of did the Road Warrior ending again, but just not as good.
Right.
You know, it's like nothing in comparison when it should have been bigger, a bigger, better.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you're familiar with this, but you know, Siskel and Ebert gave Thunderdome 2 thumbs up and like really praised it. We talked about it in our recording and I watched the episode. Maybe we'll pull it up after this, which I thought was intriguing. I've come across a lot of YouTube videos doing their reviews and retrospectives about it, talking about how like Beyond Thunderdome super underrated and why it's the best of the movie. So it has me
the best.
Yeah. So it has me kind of I mean, I'm interested to see what those people have to say. But anyway, yeah, good ranking.
Yeah, I mean, I love the Road Warrior.
It's a banger, man. It's a banger. I feel like it's one of those movies too that might get better like every time I revisit it, which is always a good thing. That says a lot. Like even for me, when I rewatched it, I was like, fuck, I had a thought of like, am I going to put it above Fury Road? Like it's right there.
Well, then what's your ranking?
So mine is Fury Road and I have to go with that just because the music and the editing is too good to not put it up.
For sure.
And who know, like Road Warrior with a different soundtrack. Not that it's bad. It's not even bad. It's not.
Bad.
It's not.
No, it's
you
bad.
Think it's really bad.
It's bad.
I like the opening music. I do like some of the ending stuff, like you said. It just the Star Warsy parts really bother. It just sticks out to me too much.
It's bad.
Okay, but that was a big factor though. Like if that soundtrack was different,
oh man,
that may have put it like. And that's what I was thinking. It's like okay. We
should put that in the ether. We should be like, hey, maybe there should be a recut. Like
that's what I'm saying. Like someone do
Twitter enough. We could like, hey, maybe there's a recut and have a.
Sorry, Brian.
Yeah, you fucked up, Bri. Okay, just stick to guitar solos. Okay. All right, Fury Road.
So mine was Fury Road, Mad Max 2. So Mad Max Fury Road. Then second place was Mad Max 2, The Road Warrior.
Okay.
Third place I had Mad Max.
Oh, that's an upset.
Fourth place I had Furiosa. They can probably be tied pretty much
with Mad Max.
with the original, like Mad Max 1979. The Knight Rider. Yeah, they're probably tied more so than ranked. And then I put Thunderdome in the last spot. But even then, I remember I was like, am I gonna put Thunderdome above Furiosa? You know, Furiosa is not bad, and I do want to see it again because after I talked to Matt about it, and even talking this with you, I think I might see it again this week because I've only seen it the one time.
Yeah, I didn't see it.
Yeah,
still.
I wanted to watch it again before we recorded the podcast just to make sure, but I've only seen it the one time, so maybe that one will be worth revisiting later. Chris Hemsworth is a great Mad Max villain. And we'll talk about
that's good to hear.
We'll talk about it more later, like once you see it. But he's like, when I think about because who are the Mad Max villains, right? It's like Toe Cutter, Humongous, fucking
who's the guy?
Auntie Entity and Master Blaster, I guess, in the third one. Then you have Immortan Joe.
What's the guy's name in
Road Warrior, the Mohawk?
Yeah.
I forgot. I was about to say, I feel like they're both like the bad.
Yeah, his audio is always off.
No, we going now.
Yeah.
We're gonna kill them.
Until the little feral kid freaking
the boomerang to that fool's head.
Right to his little sex toy's head.
That's the only stuff in Road Warrior that's like super weird. What's this fool's? I know he's the dude from Commando.
Yeah, he's also the guy from what's the movie? Is it called Interstellar? Where they travel into the human body.
Not Interstellar. It's Wes. That's his name. I don't remember, but I'll look it up.
You know what I'm talking to? It's with
Inner Space.
Inner Space.
Space.
That's a good flick. That's taking it way back.
Shit. But yeah, no, that's my ranking. Yeah, that's a wrap on this.
Wrong.
That's a wrap on this one. Old Overholt and Mad Max Fury Road.
Thanks, Old Overholt. You were great.
Thank you for listening to the Drinks in a Movie podcast. You can now find us on Instagram at Drinks in a Movie Pod, where we'll be posting photos from all the various films that we discuss. You can also email us at drinksinAmoviepod@gmail.com. Please rate, review, and subscribe, and thank you for listening.